We're going to take a few more calls. I'm going to get Mike's take, because he really does do a lot of research on this, on whether or not they're going to be hitting Iran. They've got an Israeli, a U.S. flotilla. There's a Dutch flotilla of all countries making its way to the Gulf. Open saber-rattling, open talk of a preemptive strike on Iran and on intensifying economic blockades of the country that are acts of war. We'll talk about that. But Pastor in Ohio, Pastor, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. Alex, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking on the people that you've been taking on as far as that have their products listed on your internet site. We've been using that silver lungs thing now, and not only just us, but people in our church. And I can tell you that nobody has had as much as even a common cold since last October. The things are just awesome. And the other thing is I talked to you when you was interviewing Lindsey Williams, and I was sharing with the thing, because before I got called into the ministry, I was a petroleum engineer. I worked for Halliburton, and I worked for B.J. Hughes both, and they both do offshore cementing and everything else. And I knew, and I was even saying then, that that oil rig disaster down there was not an accident. And back in February, before that even happened, Halliburton, when they cemented that pipe in, they even said then that the cement job wasn't any good for the plain simple reason they hit gas pockets and oil pockets, which compromised the pipe being cemented incorrectly. Well, they could have went in and redone that, but they didn't. And they went ahead and drilled through the plugs and went on down in a hurry. Now, so the other thing is this. I even said back then the main thing is we're going to have to worry about is the gases coming out of that, and also said that it was like a reservoir sitting on top of a volcano, and I still stick to that. And the one thing I want to point out is they're keeping everybody out of that Gulf. No pictures, no flyovers, no nothing. And just from when you just look at the situation as far as what's going, if you know anything about oil and gas, drilling and such, one of the things that can actually happen when they went in there and pumped that mud down there to try to shut that well off, they busted the pipe and it went out through there and cracked the seafloor. Well, I still say, and I'll stand by this, the next thing that's probably going to happen is that pipe's going to come out of the ground. And when that pipe starts coming out of the ground, there's no way of controlling that whatsoever.
No, I hear you, Pastor. I appreciate your info. Mike, it appears it's already for a month and a half, it's already broken through the pipe and it's ruptured, and they've got stuff 20 miles away coming up out of the ground.
Yeah, there's no question. They used a very cheap well casing. It's been pounded on by gravel and grit and rocks coming up out of that well for the last 70-plus days. We knew that even before the Deepwater Horizon explosion, the drill was bringing up pieces of hard rubber from the safety equipment. They had accidentally drilled their own safety gear. That's why they knew that there was that valve about 1,000 feet down under the floor of the Gulf of Mexico that was damaged, and that's why the top kill operation failed. And all they did was pump oil and mud out into the strata around the well casing. But the well casing is destroyed. The drill pipe is destroyed. Apparently sections of it were blown out completely during the initial methane kick, and that's another reason why they couldn't get the blowout preventer to work, is all the debris that's shoved up inside it from down below.
And what happens when the Gulf heats up this summer, as it's starting to do, and all that methane gets released?
The methane is the biggest problem, because if there are more of these methane kicks, there are no safety systems whatsoever to deal with new methane explosions coming up out of that pipe.
All right, well, let's come back and talk about that, and then more calls, and we'll also talk more about Iran with Mike Rivero. WhatReallyHappened.com is his website. Our websites are PrisonPlanet.tv and Infowars.com. Stay with us. Mike, I want to go to at least Al, Mike, Tim, and Joe, but you got cut off by a break earlier. Finish up the point that you were trying to make about Iran and where you see that going. This seems like a repeat of the exact propaganda we saw with Iraq in the lead up to the invasion 7 years ago. They just replaced the last letter in Iraq. They've removed the Q and put an N in. It's the same thing. They've got nukes. They've got WMDs. They're going to kill us. And that would also be the perfect distraction for the banking takeover, the police state, the depression we see here domestically.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of people who see a major war as their best solution. Right now, Obama, the Democrats are getting ready to run in November with the economy on their heads, the inability to change it, the unwillingness to change it. They're definitely dealing with the aftermath of the flotilla accident, the flotilla attack and the Gulf oil accident. It's all bad news, and I think the conventional wisdom is that because the United States was able to get out of the crash of 1907 with World War I, the crash of 1929 with World War II, here we are in the crash of 2007, and look how many countries we've invaded and are getting ready to invade. If we get a new war going in the Korean Peninsula, by definition, that's a two-front war, and that makes it a world war. They're rushing us into World War III because they can't think of anything better to do.
Well said, and what really concerns me, what indicates that they are planning to go to war, not just their open statements that they are, but what indicates that this is more than just saber-rattling, is that we see all these White House officials and Republican leaders openly talking about arresting citizens because the Pentagon wants them arrested, or U.S. citizens being killed, and how the list is now in the hundreds. No judge, no jury. You're not just tortured, you're hunted down and killed. And now the open announcements of plans to start censoring the internet and to start shutting down free speech. I mean, they're openly saying Obama has a kill switch. They're openly saying they want to restrict, quote, conspiracy theories, which is anything that criticizes the corrupt system. And so they're getting it all lined up and ready. And people need to know, again, this is not a game. This is really happening.
Well, they're already doing it with their own TSA people, and I guess they kind of got tired of all their employees reading on the internet how badly TSA is annoying people and messing people up, and certainly they destroyed tourism here in Hawaii. So already the TSA is blocking their own internal networks from seeing websites like yours and mine or anything controversial or conspiratorial. So the idea is the government is now trying to protect their own people from seeing what's really going on with the country in order to try and hang on to that loyalty a little bit longer.
And we've seen this in England. Going back 2 years ago, the government in many areas of England offers free broadband to cell phones and laptops, and everything is converting to that 3G and that 4G system. And Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com are blocked on the continent of Europe in many of the, quote, government Wi-Fi systems. They are blocked all over England. We've listed the systems. We've done screenshots of it because two of my writers are in London, and they've written articles about it. And now they're basically saying, the FCC is saying, we're going to give you free broadband, but anybody else who offers broadband is going to be under FCC control. And we're going to block what sites you can see. And the FCC, as you know, Mike, 2 weeks ago came out and brazenly stated, this was in mainstream news, this is not just us saying this, that you're going to have software that's basically acts as a black box on your TV, which is digital, and on your computer that blocks what you can see, so it acts as a gatekeeper, but also surveils what you're doing. I mean, again, even Alex Jones, you know, Mr. Anti-New World Order, I'm shocked that we're actually at this precipice now, that they're actually announcing it. It's just brazen, naked, authoritarian, anti-American, Stalinistic crap.
Well, they have to announce it because everybody sees that it's happening. What they're trying to do is convince everybody that it's for their own good, that they really ought not to be looking at these alternative news sites because, after all, trust the government, trust the corporate media. They would never lie to you. They're really fighting a losing battle here. And again, the historical perspective I like to use is Gutenberg and his movable type printing press. If you look at how the established power structure reacted to that, you will see exactly the same reactions today against the blogs and the internet. And in the long run, it has to fail.
In fact, I saw another Telegraph article today. Separately, I saw another U.S. newspaper report that, look, the corporate media is dying. The government is falling apart. They're trying to block the internet. It's not going to work. I mean, the minute they try to come in and block the Drudge Report and Infowars.com and what really happened, then that just makes all of us have a form of solidarity and basically stick together. And it radicalizes even, quote, more mainline type media like Drudge Report. I mean, look at the Drudge Report now. It reads many Daves like prisonplanet.com. I mean, it is anti-New World Order. It admits the world government. It links to all the globalists making these admissions. It admits the globalists are trying to overthrow the country, that they're overthrowing the internet. And now I'm seeing more, quote, mainline or transitional media basically being radicalized, as the White House would call it, and just telling the truth. And so I think it's too little too late. I don't think they can put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
I absolutely agree here, and we've got a saying on a coffee cup around here: the fastest way to bring down a dictatorship is to force them to act like one where everybody can see it. And on the day that they try and shut down portions of the internet to protect the American people, I think that's going to be when the American people really wake up and realize we're living in the 21st century version of Nazi Germany.